Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of JB Radio. We are your hosts, Brandon Kelly and Joe Hoagland, coming to you from Ohio. We are over the phone again today, so ignore the sometimes poor sound quality, but next week we'll be back in the same area, so that should be resolved. But we have a lot of things to get to today. We are really excited to get back into the swing of things. As you know, many of you who follow the news would have heard that President Obama put forth 23 executive orders to what he believes is to solve or contribute to the solution of the gun violence in the United States of America, and so we're going to jump right into that. Joe, what do you deem from the 23 executive orders? My understanding is that it's a mixture of actual executive orders that he would pursue if it doesn't go through Congress, and then also just proposals. What do you see going through? What do you see not going through? What's your feelings on that?
Well, I think the executive orders are really it's a bunch of nothing. That obviously Obama said that isn't the framework that he wants to start with. But some things, I don't think what he wants is not gonna happen on a larger scale. I don't think any kind of ban of assault weapons will get to the Senate at this point in time. But I mean, stuff like the expanded federal background check system. I think that's probably the biggest deal out here. Out of his 23 proposals. Also, I guess he wants to, some of these are like the 23rd one is launch a national dialogue led by Sabellis and Duncan on mental health. I mean, I guess stuff like that could be pretty effective if it actually is put into place correctly.
Yeah, one thing that was interesting is number 16. It says clarify that the Affordable Care Act does not prohibit doctors asking their patients about guns in their homes. And what I understand about this, the details, is that doctors can actually, like if it's a psychiatrist or psychologist or some kind of counselor, can ask the person that they're working with a question in terms of do they have guns or not, and the doctors are actually going to be giving incentives to share that information with the federal government, which is really interesting to me. I mean, I guess I understand somewhat because they have the concern about the mental health and things like that, but doesn't that hinder the doctor-patient confidentiality? I mean, it just kind of goes against what I've always understood as common healthcare practices.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so with that, like, your doctor, they could just be like having a casual conversation. You talk about like hunting or something, and all of a sudden, like, he's telling the government how many guns you have and stuff. And I mean, that's a huge intrusion of privacy. Yeah,
it is. One thing I did like is number 18. It says provide incentives for schools to hire resource officers, and he talked about that, if they choose to do that, which I thought that was a good move. That's something that I thought would be a worthy thing to pursue. So I don't think all of these are necessarily bad or hindering on the Second Amendment, but I do believe that many of them actually are. He talked about the clips being limited to 10 rounds, which most handguns are around 10 to 15 bullets holding the clips. And I don't understand, I guess, the motivation behind that. Because this is really, what we're trying to address right here is to limit the types of acts of violence that happen, like, say, Sandy Hook, where the guy went in and shot, over 20 people, kids and adults. But I mean, with the whole assault ban, I think, do people really even understand what an assault rifle is, or do they just throw this name out and just assume that it's like this thing? Do they even know what it is?
Right. Yeah, it's like, I mean, they sit there and say that, AR-15s are combat weapons and stuff, and it's, I mean, that's just, to me, that's ignorance. So the only type of gun a citizen should own is some kind of just, revolver or something? I mean, how's that going to defend you against, I guess a shotgun maybe, but there's probably liberals out there who want to ban shotguns too, so I don't understand. I mean, they just throw out, like you were saying, they just throw out the term assault weapon or semi-automatic weapon. It's like, I don't even feel like they know what that is half the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, AR-15s come in. They come in automatic, fully automatic, and they also come in semi-automatic. And a semi-automatic rifle is just a rifle. I mean, that's what it is. Semi-automatic. You pull the trigger once, and one bullet comes out. Automatic weapons are what they're talking about with these military-grade weapons, say like an M4 that's fully automatic. You pull the trigger, and it just keeps pumping them out. But let's even go on as far as that. Why is it that we are constricted on what we can use for protection? Because, I mean, I don't own any guns, but I do support the Second Amendment. And why do people have to say, oh, well, what are you going to need an assault rifle for? I mean, wouldn't a handgun suffice for what you need? I mean, who knows? There could be home invasions don't come in just one person. Usually it's a team of people. So if one person decides that they want to defend their family with an assault rifle, in terms of let's use the actual phrase of a fully automatic weapon,
right?
Why not? Why do some people have to use a revolver that has 6 bullets in it, and some people, why can't they just use an assault rifle, a fully automatic weapon? Why not? Why do we have to hinder that? Is it really going to even solve anything? And I don't think it is.
Right. Yeah, and I saw this study today, and it was from this university, and it said these two professors had the study, these two doctors, and it was just on political ideas of the younger generation, and it said that 60% wanted to own guns of college students, high school students, and they wanted to own guns. And only 33% of those came out of gun-owning households. And the lady's response to this, in her formal study, her response was, oh, well, then Obama needs to take action now so those people can't get guns. Like, I mean, that's their attitude. It's horrible.
Yeah. Like, it's really... do we understand that every elected official in Washington, D.C. has to take an oath to defend the Constitution? But then it's like when they get into office, it's just... We don't really need this Constitution thing. Second Amendment, I know better than what I've actually sworn in to uphold and to defend. It's as if you get into office and then it's like, we'll ignore that. This is what's best for each individual, and that is so naive to think that elected officials know what's best for people. I mean, that's what this country was founded on: is freedom of choice, freedom to say what you want, and to not be punished for having an opinion and having a choice of a way to live. And that whole idea of we're taking away people's right, that it's their country, our country, their U.S. citizenship gives them this right to bear arms. And it doesn't say bear arms in terms of this type of weapon or this type of weapon. It just says bear arms. So I understand why many people, Democrats and Republicans, want to have stiffer gun control laws, and a lot of the things I do agree with, especially the background checks and all of that. But we have to keep in mind, and I wasn't surprised that Obama didn't go forward with having like a full-on ban and things like that. But it seems like this is his first step in the process, and that it's going to be very systematic in terms of limiting not only what criminals can get, as so they say, but also law-abiding citizens, what they can purchase and have in their home, especially when people like doctors can just share people's information without their consent. It's just I don't understand it.
Right. Yeah. And another thing with the whole, you say, so the Sandy Hook thing, what came out of this is these 23 executive actions, these proposals. Well, what's going to come out of the next tragedy? It's going to be even more down the line, even more firm, and they're just going to keep exploiting tragedies down the line to get where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's how socialism works. That's how you implement it. You use every single tragedy, every single situation that deems to give you an opportunity to further your political agenda, and you utilize it to the best of your ability. And I have to say, I was watching his presentation, his speech this morning. It was right around noon, and the president does such a good job at utilizing how our society thinks. People don't make decisions anymore on rationale and logic or common sense, as he says. We make decisions more on emotion and how we feel about things, and he gave this speech with a group of 4 young kids standing behind him with their parents, and he talked about how they wrote him letters and how they just want him to do something about this and all of that, which I understand. That's totally legitimate. And then in the crowd there was plenty of kids that were involved, and then there's families that lost the loved ones. But here's what I do have a problem with, is using little children as almost like pawns in a political little game, and
right.
and using their reasoning on what they've written. And I understand kids have opinions just like we do, but that's why they're in school. They're learning about what the Constitution is. They don't really learn that anymore, but hopefully they get taught that in at their home. But what is justice, and what's the law, and things like that, and they have a limited understanding on the big picture of things. But our president is so good at utilizing these moments of deep seated emotions to further his agenda. And I have to hand it to him. He does a great job at utilizing everything at his disposal to get people to agree with him. And it's people like that are conservatives that see right through it. But then when we give him some backlash, I guess, or some pushback on what he's doing, we get deemed as the bad people, because everybody is feeling so deeply. And how dare you say, oh, we need more guns after what has happened. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but it's just some of the things that when I was watching it that came to my mind, because let's face it, he got elected on probably one of the worst records known to, at least since I've been alive, in terms of a president getting reelected. And that he's obviously good at those types of things. So it was really interesting.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I definitely think he knows how to play off of people's emotions and to get what he wants. I think that's a scary leadership quality, because I mean, what else can he play off people's emotions to accomplish?
Yeah, you can make a lot of things make sense to people when they're feeling the way that it kind of makes you feel when he's presenting these things. And I don't blame him for that, because our society is susceptible to it. So he's going to figure out a way to further his agenda. But just because he's doing that doesn't mean his agenda is the right one.
Right.
All right. So Joe, what do you think? We kind of talked about this as being kind of a stepping stone in the whole process of addressing this. What do you kind of see in the future of more legislation? Do you see any of this going through? If not, what's going to be done in the future?
Right. Senator Feinstein from out in California, she said that on the 24th she'll have on the Senate floor a bill to ban assault weapons, or I guess you said semi-automatic weapons. And I don't know what that will entail. We'll have to look at that next week. But
to ban semi-automatic weapons.
Yeah.
That's
but
every.
I don't think that will have the support yet even the Senate, because even Harry Reid seems a little hesitant to do that.
I wonder if he understands what he's saying, because a semi-automatic weapon is a weapon that is not fully automatic. So you pull the trigger and it goes boom once. That's
right.
Every other gun that's left.
Right. Yeah. Ultimately, that's what. I mean, I feel like a lot of them really do want to ban all those kinds of weapons, all guns in general.
Yeah.
So that's, and I guess that's a step that they're going to take, and then the building blocks will be laid, and there will be a perfect storm at some point where either the legislation will pass through, like Republicans will lose Congress, and they'll do it that way in 2 years, or it might even get to the point where Obama just executive orders himself into some kind of automatic assault rifle ban. I don't know.
Yeah, that's only time will tell, I guess. We'll see. What do you think about the NRA and its influence? I mean, over the past month, the NRA their memberships have gone up extraordinarily. What does that tell you about their influence on the United States of America and really, I guess, the overall feeling of most Americans or a lot of Americans in terms of what is going on? It seems like a lot of people are kind of gearing up for the worst, it seems.
Right. Yeah, I think, a lot of people, they just, maybe they're not gun owners, they're not, gun activists or anything, but, when they see their rights are getting infringed upon and their fellow citizens' rights getting infringed upon, they're like, well, this is an organization I can support that will help me and my fellow citizens keep my rights. And I guess that might be something that's increasing their membership. I think that the NRA has a lot of influence, political influence, because they do give a lot of money out to candidates, and I feel like, they always, on the news lately, all you hear about is the gun lobby and stuff, and how counterproductive they are to success or progress is the way they term it. But I think they're helping us keep our liberties, which is a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's an interesting story on the Daily Caller about an Oregon sheriff who wrote a letter to Joe Biden saying that he's not going to enforce any of the new federal gun laws. And we've even seen some politicians in the state of Texas, and there was another one, I can't remember which one it is. It might have been Oregon, that are saying that none of these new federal gun laws are going to be enforced, and they will actually, if the federal government comes into their state and tries to enforce these new laws, that they'll actually be able to prosecute them according to their state laws. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, it kind of surprises me a little bit, but it just reminds me that there are people out there that are going to say no to this, and I wonder if this administration is prepared to deal with what may happen if they do continue with what a lot of people believe is their ultimate goal, and that's to not only just ban fully automatic weapons, but to seriously limit or ban regular handguns and shotguns and rifles. It doesn't seem like it's going to bode well, and I can only imagine what the end of this 4 years is going to look like, especially if the Republican Party doesn't get their act together and actually get a candidate who's going to challenge the opposition on their views and really articulate what it means to be conservative, and to see the Democratic Party get another candidate that's going to further move us down this path of extreme liberalism and progressivism, if you want to call it that.
Right.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think the ultimate goal of today's announcements were? I mean, do you think that Do you think anything's really? Do you think they're really addressing something that's going to bring on results? I mean, Obama keeps he referred to what Joe Biden said. You know, if we can do anything and it saves one person, we have a responsibility to do that. And I wouldn't I wouldn't give any pushback on that. But are the measures that are being taken, is it really going to solve anything?
Right. Yeah. The only thing it solves or accomplishes for Obama is that he can sit there and say, like, 2 months from now, well, I put the framework in, and he can just sit there and complain and say that no good Congress did nothing, and then he just gets the upper hand on that further down the line. It's just a game, like who can get the upper hand, and right now the president has the upper hand.
Yeah, sometimes politics. I mean, obviously, I enjoy talking politics, but sometimes when it's coming to these types of measures, if we just actually sat down without our agendas in place, if we just sat down and actually looked at the research, looked at the facts of what actually deters this kind of violence, I think we would see something that would surprise, and maybe not even surprise because they probably even know it, but challenge the way many people on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, are thinking about this issue. I think it's the country of Switzerland is one of the safest countries, and guess what their gun laws are? I believe it's a law that every single household has to have an assault rifle, a fully automatic weapon.
Right.
I mean, can we not actually do the common sense thing and look at what works? Because it seems that actually works.
Right. Yeah, and if you say anything like that, or like anything, along the lines of everyone should have a gun and stuff, and that you're defending your liberty, then liberals will just call you like neo-Confederates and stuff like that. I mean, that's so counterproductive to getting results on the issues that we're facing today. People who are for states' rights and for the Second Amendment and for personal liberty. I mean, you can't just characterize them as neo-Confederates and think that you're being productive in any way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I also wanted to just read a little bit from this letter. Sheriff Tim Mueller from Lynn County, Oregon, wrote this to. I'm just going to read a little bit from it. If you want to read the whole thing, it's on thedailycaller.com. And this is just a little bit of what he wrote to Joe Biden. He says, any federal regulation enacted by Congress or by executive order of the President offending the constitutional rights of my citizens shall not be enforced by me or by my deputies, nor will I permit the enforcement of any unconstitutional regulations or orders by federal officers within the borders of Lynn County, Oregon. In summary, it is the position of this sheriff that I refuse to participate or stand idly by while my citizens are turned into criminals due to the unconstitutional actions of misguided politicians. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that's very good.
that articulates it pretty well. Because I mean, this isn't just a debate on whether or not people should be able to have guns. I mean, that shouldn't even be in the debate, because that's what this country was founded upon. That's why any country who decides to try to take us over will have to deal with not only our military but also our citizens, who also have weapons, and
right.
Also to protect us against tyranny from governments who overstep their boundaries. So that shouldn't be part of the conversation, but obviously it has been for a long time, and I don't see it really going away. So, all right. Well, as this new story has been developing in Algeria where at least 3 Americans are being held hostage, and I'm not sure about the total number of individuals, but I believe it's at least 10 or more that are being held hostage in Algeria at a natural gas plant. Actually, it looks like Reuters reports that there's 7 Americans among the captives. I've heard reports that they're... Yeah, that's what it says, Reuters. It includes citizens of Britain, Ireland, Norway, France, and Japan. It says that the total number of hostages is yet to be confirmed, though some news agencies are reporting it to be as high as 41 individuals. It looks like the people who are taking them hostage are a rebel group with ties to Al-Qaeda, and it appears to be retaliation from France taking military action in Mali. At least that may be a little bit of just guesswork, but this is not a good situation for these people. Yeah, it looks like one of the leaders says, "We are members of Al-Qaeda and we came from northern Mali." He said his group belonged to Khalid Abul Abbas Brigade, a fighting unit led by a former AQIM leader. It's interesting to me because our politicians want to give us the idea that Al-Qaeda is hurting right now, but if you actually watch the news from the Middle East, it doesn't appear that way. What do you gauge from this? What's the angle? Do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I hope that we intervene for these people. I mean, certainly we can take out a rogue Al-Qaeda group that seems to be kind of an outlier group. But yeah, when I think the rhetoric of us saying that Al-Qaeda is on the downslope and they're weakening. So that's probably not the best thing to be saying because they watch everything we say, and I'm sure they want to prove that they're not weakening,
right?
Or at least give us the impression that they're not weakening.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, and the unfortunate thing. I mean, this is just kind of a side thing, but the company that owns this natural gas facility is BP. So they just can't get out of the public eye, can they?
It doesn't seem like it.
No. I'm just looking over the notes here, and it appears that the organization that is kind of like in charge of this little rogue group has made tens of millions of dollars off kidnapping individuals in the region, abducting Algerian businessmen or political figures and sometimes foreigners for ransom. So it looks like it may have a monetary motive behind it. But who knows? I mean, I don't really know. It's just unfortunate that... I mean, sometimes I think about these things, about how much evil is in the world today and just how we deal with it and how we make sense of it all. And sometimes it can just be really overwhelming with trying to just make sense of it. I mean, we look at what happens over there and at least for me, I just think to myself, how can people do that? But it's just things like these. It just reminds you that this world is a very complicated and evil place. It's the same place that butterflies and rainbows are home to, and it's the same place that war and hostage situations are home to as well.
Definitely.
Is there anything else that you wanted to cover with Algeria? I mean, our thoughts and prayers go out to all those individuals, and whether they're Americans or not, I hope that they can all get out safely, and that justice can be done for the act of evil that's going on.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right. This is something that is kind of irking me. It appears that there's some stories coming out that House Democrats are pushing for an unlimited debt ceiling, to actually repeal the debt ceiling to where there is none at all.
Right.
Is it just me, or does common sense not actually exist in Washington in terms of their finances? I mean, because the whole notion that this is a motivation to pay our bills. This is what we need to do. Like, we have these bills that Congress enacted, and it's our job to pay those bills, which I would agree. But how careless and how just incompetent do these people have to be to put us in situations where we can't pay our bills based on what we bring in terms of revenue, with all the taxes going up? We have to borrow more money just to pay our bills. And this is a quote from President Obama when he was just a senator in 2006. He says, "The fact that we are here today to debate raising America's debt limit is a sign of leadership failure. It is a sign that the U.S. government cannot pay its own bills." And man, would I agree with that. But then here's a quote from him just a couple days ago, 2013, "To even entertain the idea of not raising the debt ceiling of the United States of America, not paying its bills, is irresponsible. It's absurd."
Wow.
I kind of hear a little bit of hypocrisy in there, a little bit of change of heart. Actually, a lot of change of heart. I mean, what do you think about that? Isn't that kind of interesting?
It's just how corrupt our politics has become, basically. We think that, what is this, okay to keep racking up debt, or 6 years time, nothing changes except for the fact that, well, now my party's in charge, so now that's okay, and stuff like that. Just stuff like that. It's just, I don't know how anyone can have faith in Congress or the president at all, and what the job they're doing. It's just all about politics. There's no actual movement to get anything actually accomplished, and I don't know. I think it's sad, and I think we need people to do something about it.
Yeah, this is a perfect opportunity, in my opinion, for just politicians who understand their personal finances, for that matter, and take a stand against this. Because, if you don't have it, don't spend it, right? I mean, that's what we've been taught since we were kids. You don't pay for stuff. You don't borrow money when you can't afford stuff. If you don't go and buy a car if you can afford the payments. You go and buy a car if you can afford the car. And it's just a sign of such carelessness. I guarantee none of these guys or gals operate their personal finances in this way. And some of them, if they do, they know it doesn't work. They know it doesn't work. Because they get bills all the time illustrating, hey, I really need to stop with all this debt that I'm accumulating. That's one of the biggest problems in America for people getting started in their life, is that by the time they even get their job, they're in so much debt, especially from student loans and things like that. And if you want to know how not to do your finances, just look at our federal government, and
exactly.
You'll get a really good picture of how not to do it. I wrote an article about that yesterday, and I just thought that was a really good illustration, because if you want to know what not to do, just pay attention to everything they do with their finances.
Right.
And mind you, this debt ceiling has been in place since 1939, and the Treasury says it's going to run out of borrowing power in mid-February to early March. I think that might be a good thing. Just put a stop to it.
Yeah. The thing is that, now that the president's in charge, he told Mitch McConnell in December during the fiscal cliff negotiations that he didn't want a debt ceiling anymore, and there's Democratic congressmen who are now trying to pass that proposal too. Like, how can we not? I mean, our government just is so wasteful and doesn't follow any guidelines anyway. So if you don't have a guideline at all, like, just think what mess that would create, even bigger mess than we have now.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple economics. It's simple finances. I don't understand. It baffles me that we can make sense of this. I mean, it's not about. You would think it would be about cutting spending so that we don't have to borrow money, but no, it's not about cutting spending. It's about keeping the spending that we have and just furthering going down this crazy cycle. I mean, that's what it is. It's just it's lunacy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, it scares me in a sense for the future generations that come after us, that they're going to inherit a bigger mess than what we have inherited. And we have to keep in mind that this is what we asked for as a country. At least the majority of the country asked for this, and it's something that we have to deal with, but it's also something that, I keep coming back to this, but the Republican Party needs to do some serious soul searching and heart, just looking at their heart and really deciding who's in and who's out and what their identity is going to be, because we just need someone who is going to be able to go out there and who is conservative and is also, this is the key, able to articulate what conservatism is to the people who are just low information voters, who don't pay a whole lot of attention except for what they hear on their evening news, their local news stations, and they may watch a debate or two when it comes to the presidential debate, but we need to seriously reach out to these people. And to me, I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative, but the Tea Party and people who are like-minded like that really need to take a stand. And I mean, honestly, they're getting punished for their conservative beliefs from both Democrats and Republicans, who are more of a moderate, progressive type of Republican. We've seen it in the leadership appointments that have been taken off, and it just. We're not going down a slope or a path that is going to be returning us to things like when Reagan was in office. I mean, everybody uses that as the kind of rule to live by and the rule to strive for, but I don't see anybody really stepping up and taking charge of that. Somebody needs to do it.
Right. Yeah, we need to engage the youth. The Democrats fight and fight and fight for the youth, and the Republicans just kind of give up on it. And I mean, that's a horrible strategy if you want to survive, and if you really believe that conservatism is what will make our country prosper, then you need to fight for the youth, and like you were saying, communicate what conservatism actually means to the youth.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
All right, so something we're really concerned about is just like the future direction of the country, and that's what we want to communicate through these podcasts and when we talk about current political issues. So, if you want to communicate with us, our Facebook page is facebook.com/pages/jbradio. Just JB Radio. Type into Facebook and it should come up. YouTube, where all our podcasts are posted, it's youtube.com/DJBradio. And if you want to email us, it's info.jbradio@gmail.com. thank you for listening to us. We'll be back next week with even more for Brandon and me.